Welcome to the 50 Shades of Pain podcast. My name is Dr. Danny Shapiro, and I'm a doctor of physical therapy. If you're in pain or had terrible medical experiences, I will be telling you why the medical system is broken and why you probably feel stuck within it. If you've ever left a doctor's office and thought, what was that? Is that it? Well, then this podcast is for you. So today's episode is a very important one because it's a question that I get a lot from both my patients and then across social media as well. And the question is, Danny, do I sit behind a desk or do I stand behind the desk? And the question is it's kind of an interesting one because everyone is so unique and so different. But the answer universally, if we're talking about absolutes, it's either one or the other. I would say both have the drawbacks. Both kind of suck. On the one hand, you're sitting all the time and you have pain or discomfort perhaps, and you're in one stagnant position, and then somebody tells you, "Oh, get a standing desk. That's going to fix everything." But as an absolute, now if you're standing all the time, okay, maybe the original pain feels better, but then over time, you actually might what you might start to notice is that a new pain has developed or something else has popped up, and that's because of one very simple concept that a lot of people either don't know about or don't quite fully understand. And this is the concept of movement variation or positional variation, right? We need both. So if we are in a job or in a position where we have to sit for a long time, right? Because, this is us modern humans today, the modern human experience is not the same experience that people had hundreds of years ago, right? Where people were just running around doing stuff, um, hunting, gathering, all those things. We are mostly stationary nowadays, whether it's the commute to work, once you get to work, the commute back to work, from work rather. We're going through a lot of very static, stationary positions. And going back to the question of do I do a standing desk or do I sit behind the desk? You need to do, you can do either, but what you need to do and focus on is the variation of position within those situations. So, for example, if you're sitting behind a desk, okay, let's say that's what we're doing, which is fine. By the way, that's fine. What you need to do, what you must do is vary your position and vary how you're sitting. For example, if you're sitting maybe 20, 30 minutes in, just bend down, like, put your feet out wide, put your knees out wide, and just bend down to the floor, right? Whether you touch the floor or not, it doesn't really matter. But bend down towards the floor, do that for like 5 or 6 times, and then get right back to work. Or, bend to the side, try to reach through the side instead of reaching directly down to the floor, reach to the side and to the floor. But the point is to change the position, right? If you got a standing desk, even if you have a standing desk, like you're still standing in one spot, shift from one leg to the other. Go from, even 50-50 pressure through both legs to maybe a 60-40, 60% on the right leg, 40% on the left, then switch to 60% on the left, 40% weight on the right, but vary it up and also still bend your spine. Do a couple of squats. Uh, your coworkers will only admire you, especially if you're now, in an open space with your job. Your coworkers and onlookers will only admire you further. And actually, in fact, be jealous and wonder, maybe I should be doing that too. And they should be. But again, the fact of the matter is that we want to vary our position. So whether you sit behind a desk and you're thinking, oh my God, do I, especially for work from home, do I need to now buy this standing desk setup, which could be quite expensive and take up a lot of space? Or can I just change my environment scenario? Right. And that usually is what does it. I work with a lot of people who sit behind a desk for a very long time, whether you're a lawyer, a school teacher, yeah, you're going up and down, but a lot of times it's just behind a desk. I work with dentists, like all these people who are in very static, very specific positions. And a lot of times, especially with dentists, what I've noticed is that dentists can't really escape the awkward positions that they're in. If you've ever been to a dentist, which at some point we probably all have, I should probably be going more often than I am right now, but that's neither here nor there. But if you ever looked at how a dentist works, you'll actually notice that they're kind of in a very twisted position for much of the appointment
there with you, especially when they're working inside the mouth. When they're not, obviously they're sitting upright, but dentists have a lot of pain points that you'd be surprised about. A lot of neck pain, a lot of mid back pain, a lot of low back pain, hip pain. Like, it's the position that they're in. However, that can all be avoided while still being in the same awkward position just by varying what they do in between patients. Now, again, whether you're a dentist or not, this goes for every single profession, every single one, even mine. I'm a very active, um, like I have a very active job, especially the way I created it to be. I'm up, I'm down, I'm bending, I'm twisting, like there's a lot of things that I'm doing in between, depending on what patient I'm working with, but my body is moving in a lot of different directions all the time. And yet I have what's called a buffer zone in between each patient where I have 10 minutes in between every single patient where, whether I want to grab a snack, grab a drink of water, or run to the bathroom, whatever it is, but I dedicate a portion of that time to movement. So, for example, if I was bending and twisting a lot during the appointment because I needed to help someone move their leg or help someone move their back, whatever it is, whatever the situation is, where I've been doing a lot of twisting, a lot of moving through my back, what I will do is do some mobility drills for my hips and back because that is what will calm everything down and keep it all loosey goosey and feeling good. If I'm working a lot with my arms, there was a patient I was working with yesterday. We were working on the shoulder and elbow, and there was a lot of movement that I had to do, a lot of activation that I had to do through my arms. So after that appointment was done, I did a bunch of shoulder mobility drills, stability drills that took me literally just 3, 4 minutes. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not. The suggestion I made earlier, where you're just bending down to the floor, even if you do 6 reps, that'll take you what, 45 seconds, maybe? But that 45 seconds can offset a lot of tightness and a lot of discomfort that can build up over time, especially if you're already feeling back pain, or again, hip pain, whatever it is. Or if you're not feeling any pain, even all the more reason to do it. I had what was it, like 6 months ago, I was working with this very young guy. He was 23, tall guy, pretty fit. Before he started this corporate job, he was, doing Pilates and yoga, training in the gym and all that stuff. And then he started this corporate job, and he's sitting behind a desk for the long majority portion of the day. Like we're talking like 9, 10 hours at a time. And he developed really bad low back pain. He developed really bad hip pain, a lot of tightness, a lot of stiffness. And he did have an active injury, absolutely. And once we took care of that injury, now we were managing what he does around his day, which is 9 to 10 hours of sitting straight. And the sitting didn't change. However, we changed what he did before he got to the job, what he did during the actual job as well, and then also what he did after, right? And then these are small tweaks, really small tweaks and changes. This really takes very, very little time, but this has massive impacts on your actual body and how it feels. So if you can change what you do around the situation, whether you're sitting behind a desk or standing at the desk, it doesn't really matter. The concept is the same, and you have to move. If you're sitting in one position the whole day and not changing it up, things are going to stiffen. And most likely, if you're behind a computer, behind a desk, you're probably at some point, if you start upright, you're going to start leaning forward relatively quickly, which can potentially over time place more strain or stress through your back, through your hips, through your neck, whatever it may be. This is why changing the position is so important. And the posturing also, like, people say, oh, how does my posture look? What do you think of my posture? Even posture, my approach to posture is the same as what we're talking about here with sitting or standing. Posture doesn't matter. I know. Shocking. What? How can posture not matter? And this is coming from a dancing physical therapist. Um, Posture truly doesn't matter. The variation in posture is what matters. See, it's these slight differences in how you phrase things, but they mean different things, right? You can have perfect, amazing, incredible posture and be in tremendous amounts of pain in your shoulders and neck. In fact, I treat dancers who have beautiful posture, beautiful, like, oh my God, it's perfect. They know exactly how to hold themselves, and yet they're dealing with neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, and what are you gonna do about their posture, right? So it's not about the position and holding it for as long as possible. It's about varying it up. So you can be up tall and nice like a dancer. You can shift and have one shoulder up. It's okay as long as you vary the position and you move. See, I think the over kind of reaching arc here is that motion is lotion, right? Motion is lotion, movement is medicine. And the more we move, the better we will feel. It doesn't have to be big, gigantic movements. If they are, all the better. But if you can't do that because of pain, great. Move within whatever range you can. It's not about how much you can move. It's about the frequency of you actually doing it. Eventually, how much you move will improve as well. But this is one of the easiest ways to get people out of pain, especially behind, a desk job in corporate America, right? We have to find modern day solutions for modern day humans, because this is our reality. This is our reality. Whether you're working from home, working in an office, it doesn't matter. Most people have this issue. Um, I've even had people who had really, really bad low back pain. Like we're talking crippling low back pain for like 6, 7 years, where they can just barely manage their job, or they quit their job and they really want to work, but they can't do it because they're sitting all the time. And one of the first things that we do is just start including range of motion exercises, literally just nothing else. Just starting to include movement in through the spine, in through the back, in through the hips, small little things that have, again, dramatic, massive differences in terms of how they feel. And when you have that build up and ramp up of movement, again, things will happen in a very positive direction. So again, whether you're sitting or standing, bend to the floor, bend sideways, bend back, move, move your shoulders, stretch your neck around, get some pops, get some cracks, get some stretches in there. I guarantee you, you will feel so much better without visiting a doctor's office, without anything of that sort. Just start bending and moving. The faster you do that, the faster you're going to feel better. And it's going to stay that way. You just have to get into a habit. It's kind of like brushing your teeth, right? You don't think about waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth. At least I hope you don't. Rather, I mean, I hope you brush your teeth. But it's pretty much a habit. Like, if you're not listening to this and if you're not a teenager listening to this, uh, it's pretty much a habit, right? So just like brushing our teeth is a habit, maybe brushing your hair is a habit. Um, you know, if you make the same breakfast, whatever it is, whatever habits you have in life, make movement part of your job. Right? Make it a mandatory thing that you have to do. And listen, if you need a note, I'll give you a note. All right. Well, I'll make a mass note for everybody. If your boss has a problem with it, but no, but in all seriousness, like maybe it is, if you're feeling self conscious about it, maybe you should have a conversation with your boss. Maybe you should have a conversation with your manager. Maybe you should get the entire job, whatever job it is, to do a little movement class. A little 10 minutes of movement around lunchtime. There are some businesses that actually do this, and even if it's just 10 minutes, it does create a massive difference in morale and how you feel, and offsetting a lot of very common office jobs kind of injuries and issues. So, look, bottom line, whether you're working from home, working in the office, please bend the spine, move your arms, move your neck, twist, side bend, all of those things. The more you do it, the better off you feel. And I can promise you that. And if you don't, come find me. But even if you do feel better, come find me anyway. But if you do these things again, I promise you, amazing things will happen. And make sure you're breathing and doing small movements first, and feeling out what it actually feels like before you start bending further and further and further. All right. So, final answer, standing desk, sitting desk, it doesn't freaking matter. Move that body and you'll enjoy every single day. All right. That wraps it up for today. Have a great one. And let me know what your thoughts are on this episode if you have any questions.